Today I'm gonna be talking about the Potomac River fishing meta. I've been wanting to make this video for a little bit. I feel like I've been out here long enough um, to kind of know what's going on. DC Potomac River fishing is like very similar to like a lot of places, but also in the sense of like everyone's kind of doing the same things. And I'm here to talk about like why I think like the current meta is, especially just for big like blue catfish. This is what I think we should be using, and then I'm gonna go over like the expensive options and like the cheap ass options because I am a cheap ass guy. I'm not gonna lie with fishing. Like I'm not gonna say this. Like don't feel bad that you're not catching fish if you're not like using the best setup. I feel like with fishing, it's not about the equipment. It's about like the timing, like how you're targeting the fish. And then like even if you go like online, like you see these people with like with boats and like bajillion-dollar rigs, trying to tell you how to catch fish. I see people on TikTok like on boats, telling you there's certain thing that they're doing like works so well, but they're not going over the fact that like they're on a boat and they're trawling water and they're covering so much distance, and that's why they're catching fish. Don't fall for like the bait and switch of like if you don't use a specific thing, you're not catching the fish. Especially if you're a bank fisherman like I am. Like I live in an apartment. I can afford a boat. At least in this area, housing's crazy. So that's what I'm trying to say is like, I'm gonna show you like why I think the meta is for bank fishing at least, and like how you should kind of structure your approach to like kind of be on the cheaper end and not that expensive. For me, it's more about the bait and how you're setting up like your fishing style, and I'll go over that a little bit more as I get along. Kind of like how to like fish from the bank and find like the perfect spots. But there's a bajillion videos about that on YouTube. Like, I'm just gonna be treading old water. So I think we should start off with like the first most important thing, and that's like your rods. I'm gonna show you like my cheaper rods, like my expensive rods. So this is they're all like smushed together, and this is my Mad Cat's rod. So pretty much this thing altogether costs like $250. I didn't even get like the whole combo. I got the reel first. I got it for my birthday. This was 120. I got it for $20 off. As you can see, I bent it because I ate shit one day. It's like bent right there, and it still works perfectly fine. But you can see it's like bent. But like, yeah, this thing is beat up. I caught flathead. This is like years of wear, and as you can see, like it's already like chipping off some places right here. So that's like stuff to keep in mind. But yeah, this is an expensive rod. So this is like if you have the money, you have the time, like get this rod. But like this one won't catch you bigger fish. Like sure, like your drag would be stronger, catch you like big fish. You don't use to catch big fish is what I'm trying to say. But it's cool, and you can see like I had the 120-pound braid. That's kind of overkill. I'll go into more depth about that later. I used to live in Arizona, so like you used to fish for flathead exclusively. So you would use this because you would fish a lot of structure, a lot of rocks over there in the lakes. So yeah, this is my Mad Cats. This is expensive rod, and let me show you my cheaper rod. This is the cheap rod. I've had these for such a long time. So this is a Berkeley big game rod. $25 at Walmart. You can get them on sale for like $20. And this thing holds up fine. It's a 2-piece. As you can see, like black light, so I put like tape on it. But I will say you do get what you pay for. Like like the tip broke off of this one. I'm using that excuse to like get like a better one. But these work perfectly fine. Like if you're just trying out, $25, you get your 7-6 foot rod, and like these are sensitive. Like you'll probably cast further than the Mad Cats because Mad Cats is so stiff. This one's like you can see it's so wobbly and stuff, so you can get like further distance. And then also they're just good value. $25 and you get a big ass rod. I do think the downsides is like that everything's cheap, right? Like the eyes are kind of cheap. I've broken them before. I returned them before. This one lasted me like a good 2 years. I've caught flathead blues on this thing. It's an okay rod. Not like once this is like novice. Like once you see yourself going out a lot, that's when you upgrade. This thing, like when you're fighting fish on this rod, it's a lot more funner than that rod. Because this rod's so flimsy that like, you know, a little like 5 pounder is gonna feel like it's taking it away, right? And then the reel, the PC Fun XS Chaos reel. This one, it works. It's cheap, but it works. It's like the best cheap reel. I have another cheap one I'll show you. I've abused it, as you can see. Like I caught flathead on this thing. You know, I will say like this dumb thing. We know when I did it, when I do sometimes when I try to cast it, it goes because like I cast it out and like this comes out. It's so annoying. Like that made like the drag system like kind of flimsy. But like literally, it's so cheap that like you know who cares? You can see like even like right now like these things are flying off right here. Like look at that. Look at that. look. I didn't even notice that. It works perfectly fine. The grip is really good. Like, you know, as you see, I abuse this. Like you see, like I fell on this thing before. You know, I throw them back in my SUV, and it works. It's worked. I like this reel. I will say I was experimenting, and I got this left-handed. I wouldn't do that. Left-handed, I have to like, you know, I've lost fish because like I've gone down and like reeled in and like I did the opposite way. So get out your reels that size. But this is a good option for $50. You can't really go wrong with this. And so altogether, this combo, $25 plus the 50, you're at $75 for this combo, and you're catching a big blues. But compare that to like just the rod on that one is $100. So you're saving $25. So like I've had these for the longest time, and then also travel with these because these aren't, you can break them apart. And I'll show you how I make your own travel case. I made my own travel case like PVC pipe. What's the gist of like this combo? Cheap, works. You know, as you can see, I'm probably gonna get a new one. The eye's all broken. You know, but it works. I mean, like I'm probably gonna still use it. Like there's really no difference between this and like that. But like obviously, like if I hook into like a bajillion pound fish, like do I trust this thing? Yes, I've caught like 30 pounders on it. I trust it. Would I trust it to catch like an 80 pounder? I don't think so. But like, you know, the odds of that, like, you know, especially if you're casually fishing, is like super, you know, like, look, even the tips right here, look. I was like, wondering where that one. So yeah, like this broke off like this, but that's after like 2 years of wear. So I don't know. Cheap. And I'll go over my other combo. This is an expensive, this is like a hybrid of sorts. This is a float rig. I'll show you how to do these. So this is when I'm fishing, like the Potomac's so snaggy, and that's why I say like, you know, do not, I'll explain this later, but do not spend a lot of money on hooks or on like rigs, because dude, like the Potomac is so snaggy. Like it's not even worth it. Like I've lost so many weights, so many stuff because you just get snagged up, man. And as you can see, I have like a little bobber stop right there. But yeah, but this is a Catch the Fever rod. With like a super cheap $40, I don't know how to say it, but it's called Swilly. I'll put a link in the description. But these is super cheap. This was like $40, and this is cheaper, even cheaper than the Chaos Fishing one. But you could tell, like the eye moves, you know. At least like it has like this lever, but other than that, like it's been perfectly fine. I will say like casting is a little like it's harder because I guess it gets more loose, but as long as you have like that drag, this one is super cheap, and I like it. Like if I'm going for cheap again, like I would get one of these again. You know, it works. It's $40. You know, if you do the drag right, like it casts. And this one will have 80-pound braid. And I can talk about differences. The main reason why you want to use braid, and I love mono because mono, like, you know, it's a lot more funner. Braid just feels like you're just dragging them in. But if you're cheap like me and you hate losing your hooks and your rigs, use braid. If you use mono, what pretty much is gonna happen is that when you get snagged up, which you're gonna do because it's the Potomac, you're gonna rip off the whole line and you're gonna lose all your line, and then you're gonna lose your rig, you're gonna lose your weight. Use braid because you get snagged up so much, especially fishing from the bank, where, you know, at least when you have a kayak or like a boat, you can at least like unhook it from like the other side. When you're fishing from the bank, you're really just limited, you know. So use braid just in the sense that you can break this rig off and not like your whole combo and like lose all this shit, right? Yeah, the rod's really good. So this is a heavy, really good rod. You know, maybe when I get more money, I'll probably upgrade the reel. And then this is just like another ghetto rod. And then this reel is like one of my old reels that like my dad gave me. From like, he had like a bunch of old reels. This is Abu Garcia Ambassador 6000, and this one was from like the 70s. The drag sucks on this one. Like, you know, I don't know how they fished back then, but back then they must have had a really hard time because I like fished. You know, I can't even pull it. You know, I'm gonna say the drag sucks on this, but it's still fun. Like, you know, I like using it. It's old school. This is just another Berkeley big game rod. You know, That's it. Now let's talk about like, okay, leader. Circle hooks. Circle hooks, I wasn't a big fan of them. Mainly because like, I don't know, I grew up in traditional sense fishing where you just go like Walmart and get like the pre-tied rigs that just have like J hooks with like a bunch of barbs on them. And then like, when I was flathead fishing in AZ, I prefer J hooks for flathead. I remember one of the people I used to fish with, he would use circle hooks and he was about reeling the catfish and he would lose them. J hooks for flathead are a lot better. Or maybe someone can enlighten me, but circle hooks for blues, because I feel like for flathead, like they suck up the fish and they swim away with it. And like they put like the bluegill in their mouth, so when they're swimming away with it, like the hook's sticking out, you can just hook them really well. Who knows? But blue catfish, they just like, they're bottom feeders more likely. With flathead, just suck a fish, and so these work really well. What to use? Weights. Use circle weights. I used to have the ones that were like bank weights. I would get snagged up all the fucking time. I switched over to these. I got like a pack of them for $30 on Amazon, and it came with like a bunch of them. I keep them in here. 6 ounce, 3 ounce, 1 ounce. Depending on your scenario. The good thing about using like these, like, is you can stack them. So let's say like I just lost all my 3 ounces. I can just stack 3 1 ounces, right? For my leader, just big Berkeley big game. I'll search it right now. Berkeley big game monofilament, 80 pound. Typical. Any swivel that's weighted for a lot of fish. And then use these slider things so you can just unhook and hook your weights on really easily. These are like really convenient because then like you can just stack them, right? But yeah, that's like the basic rig. This is like, especially if you're tight lining, use this rig. You don't need anything crazy, and trust me, like, you lose so much rigs because everything gets snagged. If you're fishing from the bank, you're gonna get snagged. It's just like a part of life at this point. You have no idea how much. So using like a simple combo like this, where you snell the hook, you don't have like too much money, is perfect, because you don't want to like go out there and like spend $40 for a rig just to have it break off, man. And like, you don't really need all that stuff, especially if you're fishing from the bank. It's more about positioning and like finding out like where the fish are, and then like spending a lot of money like on stupid stuff like that, that you think you're gonna catch more fish. And the only difference I have for that one is this float bobber rig, which I already explained. It just floats off the bottom. It's like pretty much a big bluegill rod. And then I use this for like, there's this place in Alexandria where like I get snagged a lot. Rod holders. Let me talk about rod holders now. What I recommend you should use, especially if you're going for big blue catfish, take down rod holders like the rod holders I use. I'm not like promo code, but these are like the best rod holders ever. These ones, in Arizona, like, they're not really feasible. Well, I came from Arizona. I live in the DMV area now. They're not really feasible because, like, we have all dirt here, but here it's like muddy. You can stick these in fairly easily, but I still recommend walking around your mallet to like, actually get these in, because if a big fish takes your thing, those are expensive, right? Those cost like $30. Shipping's a big pain in the ass. You don't want to spend that much money. So what do? Bass Pro, I think it's like $10. You can actually make these on your own. If you go like Walmart, you can buy this piece and like, get like any piece of rebar and like connect them. But this is the cheaper version. If you're trying not to spend that much money, let's get this. I mean, like, honestly, like, it works. Like, these ones are cool because you can like do different positions. But at the end of the day, like, it's more about positioning and putting your baits where like fish are at, and then actually, like what type of rod holder you have, right? A lot of people like to tell you that, like, dumb stuff. Bait bucket, this is where I store my bait cooler. I have like weights in here. I have like my braid scissors in here. I have like a rag to like clean up all the nasty stuff. This I recommend heavily. Buy this off Amazon. This is magic bait thread. When you're using chicken liver or like chicken thigh for bait, especially for big blues, this, wrap it around your hook, wrap it around your bait, and it stays on a lot more. You can, especially if you're low on bait, use this. Especially if you have a flimsy ass bait. The other part of the meta. So rods, reels, rod holders, this. When you're catfishing, you're gonna have to carry around a lot of shit. I would like to not carry a bunch of stuff, but like, we live in a world, you live in a place where like, if you're like, you're carrying like bait buckets, you're carrying like a bunch of like heavy ass rods, you're carrying your backpack full of things, you're carrying your rod holders. In an ideal world, when I go fishing, I like to have all my stuff with me, and like, be able to carry easily. I'm not saying I can't do it, but like, it's just a big pain in the butt. A wagon, a fishing wagon. I got this sucker off Walmart for like $50. It's literally the cheapest one. I've had it for almost 2 years now, 3 years, and I've abused this thing. Like as you can see, like it's been abused. Like it's but it still works perfectly fine. Cheap Chinese Walmart wagon. Use it for groceries too, because I live in an apartment. I've been hiking with this thing. I drag this thing, and it works perfectly fine. You know, you need a wagon. Especially if you're gonna be fishing, carrying all that shit. It's a big pain in the ass. And then like I looked like a goofy before, where like I've been carrying, I started carrying stuff and I dropped all my stuff in the middle of the road, and it's so embarrassing. But like, who cares, right? Use I got these off Amazon for pretty cheap. Use offset circle hooks and use a snail knot. These are 8/0, go up to 10/0, 8/0 to 10/0, like wherever you're like chasing. I prefer Gamakatsu circle hooks. I just got these because they're super cheap, and I'm super cheap, man. Like I'm a super broke. Swivel weights. Just get any swivel from like a local tackle store. And then this is how I taught my leaders. Berkeley Big Game monofilament. Works perfectly fine. This is like $5 on Amazon, I think. You don't really need anything other than this. The things, these are like used to like keep the weight on there, right? Miscellaneous things. Bug spray, especially in the Potomac, is something I found out after living in Arizona. Use bug spray. You don't want to be out there like being eaten alive by mosquitoes. Sunscreen as well. If you're fishing at night, like this is pretty cool. It's like a little like UV thing to like light up your rods. That's why I had like this rod taped up. But this is just like, man, like if you're a big baby about grabbing catfish, by the mouth, fish grips, use these. I have a scale. I have a king cast scale. I can probably put it on if you guys want to know. I use that to like weigh my fish if you really care about that stuff. Headlamps over here. Headlamps, fishing at night. Get these are like $15 on Amazon. They work. I also have this net right here. But I'll probably get a new one. If you're fishing like a dock area, obviously use the net. Like don't be like that crazy. Like try to pull up the fish, especially if they're big. I had that issue in my last video. But yeah, I think that's it. That's like the current like meta, I would say, for like bank fishing on the Potomac River. I use conventional reels. You can always use like spinning reels, honestly. Like I kind of made that transition, and I like conventional reels just because like you're able to cast a lot further, and like they really work well in terms of like pulling that fish in, and also they just look cool, honestly. I went through everything that I use personally and what I think what everyone else is using in DC or like Virginia, like at least like fishing from the bank. When I go out there, like I see people all the time. And then obviously you can use like variations. Like the time I went out and like I have all this cool gear, and like some guy with like a little like Walmart rod was out fishing me. He was just putting his baits like in better places. And we'll talk about baits and like what I think is best in like another video. I just want to make like this meta video just to like go over like what I'm using, like kind of like start off my YouTube channel. But yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're really interested in like watching me in my adventures, and then also